Hello and welcome to Failure and Analysis. I'm playing Blood Bowl 2 with my Khemri team. This is game 12 against Ogres. Very interesting. They have more big guys than I have. And they're going to have some SPPs. Mongoose is loose. Another brand new team. 6 ogres, 0 rerolls. Look at all those Gnoblars. Alright. This'll do it. Wonder if he buys 2 rerolls. Yeah, exactly, Melagol. Yeah, it's not really that hard. So you do get it, I mean almost certainly in the first 2 turns. And then you're just left with trying to block consistently. And, oh, Zayat's TV, thank you so much for the follow. I missed that. I appreciate it. But 0 rerolls? That can't be the right ogre build. That just can't be, can it? Yeah, no, we bought 2 rerolls. I like it. I like it. His plan all along. Face a team that's 200 TV higher. Get your rerolls that way. Twins Spiro. Twins Pyro. Twins Spyro. Twins Pyro. Probably some other way. Thank you very much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. Go big or go home. Hey, Stolen XP, how you doing? Yeah, 0 rerolls. That was a surprise. I do love unorthodox, but that kind of unorthodox I don't promote. That's one of those game design traps for new players. Because new players, things are going to go right, You're never not going to roll good dice. So why would you need rerolls? Why would they make a game where you fail so much? That seems ridiculous. I've played Blizzard games my whole life. They don't do that. And so, yeah, so they don't take them, and then they get super frustrated because they're failing the normal amount, having no rerolls, making that even worse. And, yeah, super frustrating early experiences. And obviously the answer is so clearly, well, rebuild your team with some rerolls. But yeah, then you have to expect that the player is open to figuring out why they didn't do well, rather than just being extremely upset and quitting the game forever. Oh, and a leader. Nice. Okay. All right. Yes, they are. 3 dice blocks. Yeah, I like 3 dice blocks, but I did find that it's difficult to get 4 of them, right? Because the 3 die blocks requires a 3 strength dude. You're targeting first of all, or lower, and that means usually a fast team, fast or dodgy team. At which point you kind of have to cover the blitz, because if you put all your dudes on the line next to your Tomb Guardians trying to get 3 die blocks all over the place, you end up with 9 guys in a line, 2 guys back, and you're wide open for anything that goes wrong, blitz, or even just fail to pick up the ball and don't position a bunch of guys back. An early block that does fail, you know. So I don't know. It's definitely risky. But yeah, go big or go home. Seems like a sound strategy for the Ogres, because they're big. Whoops! Point me case. Two die, 3 die block here though. Making it happen. Yeah, just take up some of his blocks. I don't know, like my maybe it's my conditioning. They've been so flimsy to date. I'm starting to treat them more as these precious commodities, not to let him get mighty blowed. Yeah, you might be right. I'm not sure how I would do that, how I would deny him 2 dice, since he only needs 1 assist. And he outnumbers my strong guys, 6-4. Well, that's a pretty good round of blocks. 3 down, 1 armor break. Pow. I have a 4-1 and a 3-1, but yeah, this guy. Yeah, I've probably been favoring my Tomb Guardians a little too much. Thinking, well, this guy will just get him. And I can run in touchdowns. But then I run all my touchdowns in with these 2. And they don't get them. Nothing better than a Noblar. That's right. No, there's better. They have that pesky dodge. What's better? Is it 3 dice is pretty good though. I still think the Skaven linemen are the best though. Just gotta breathe on them, they fall over. And Stunty's pretty good though. Gotta admit. 3 dice and Stunty. And if you do have block, it's, yeah. Ugh. The worst feeling ever. Sorry to hear it, new kid. Beat me with your 5 players. That I can swallow. But out bashing me, walking it in over my body, it's just not right. Ooh, is he gonna foul here? Get stunned. I'll take this thing. Mystery die. I'm coming for you. Ooh, secret Mighty Blow Claw. That is the worst. Those war dancers with the hidden Mighty Blow Claw. I know, stunning him. Stunning Noblars. I'm an expert at that. You look a broken man, Herbiak. Wow. That team sounds ridiculous. 4 Agi 5 pieces, 2 Strength 4 catchers. Whew. Sounds like a team needs to be nuked from orbit. Aha! No blitz for you. Oh no, he's tying up my blodger. Oh. The bonehead. It always comes in waves. It's like, nope, they're just going to take the turn off. There go my lines. There go my blitzes. No, his first action. Get KO'd. Oh no, he stunned it. He did stun a Noblar, so he's 0 for 2 in performance review. Yeah, that's just not right, Mellow Gold. It's not right. It's not right. That's right. It always does make you feel like you're playing with different dice. Do they have a support group for that? Hello, I've only rolled 3 strength ups in my Blood Bowl career. Just get away from me. I don't care what you do. Just get away. Ugh. So good. Alright. I'll break the wall to get the 2-die block in. Oh, but look at that. It's a big stun. It's not small. No, no, no. It's the big stun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh. Blodgy dwarves. Stand firm, Blod, strength 5 dwarves. Just unholy. Straight from the devil. That's right. He wants to score again. Oh, it's time. Look at that. Now what you gonna do? You were 75% out of luck a second ago. Now you're 100% out of luck. Oof. One stunned. Four. Bonehead. It's got 2 more activations here. And I get to block some Noblars. It comes in waves. Don't worry, you got another one. Oh, we forgot to even activate it. Stunnered. Doop-a-doo-doo.
Yeah, smells like a good old-fashioned fight.
Oh, couldn't stun him. What did he say?
Is the assist going to be enough to come out on top?
Smackaroo. Jeez. No goal. That's so great. And by great, I mean horrible, but yeah. The game just saying, nah, you don't get to participate in this one.
That's a holding right there on this old one.
Oh, nice. I just noticed. I missed that. Thanks, Arabiak. Yeah, Blood Bowl's a nice game to stream because there's a lot of information to be had when you're, especially when you're first starting out. That's really hard to just sort of noodle out yourself, you know, like the information isn't really intuitive on a lot of this stuff, so. The same could be true of like same could be said of like League of Legends. League of Legends also just has a, you know, like a lot of Twitch games, or not Twitch games, but shooters, you know, have Twitch elements. It's like, oh yeah, just be better, you know, like skills you can't really, you know, you just have to practice a lot, you have to play a lot, right? It's like you understand the process, you understand the game. Shoot people in the head, you know, like I get it. So there's not much to be gleaned from watching a guy who's really good at shooting people in the head. I'm probably oversimplifying it because obviously learning the maps is really important, and learning different weapon types for different scenarios and things like that. There's a lot more to it, but in League of Legends there's a lot more to decision making, builds, you know, things you can learn. But Blood Bowl I think is more heavily weighted towards how to position, why you position yourself here, you know, your general strategies, how to respond to various things, like. So it's a great game for, gosh, I've been playing this game, I really like it, but I'm pretty bad at it and I don't know why. I need to find a place where I can go find this information out, rather than, yeah, I keep shooting people in the knees instead of shooting people in the head. So what should I be doing better? Well, I should be shooting them in the head. Ow!
Expect the player to lead his team. Well done.
Yeah, exactly. Stolen XP. There's a lot of really situational stuff. In this game, you have to be able to adapt. Like that's one of the reasons I like elf play, because you can get away with just adapting a lot of times each turn, because you're so fast and so dodgy, and it's easy to reposition. Whereas with dwarves, it's like, okay, I have this plan, and I have to execute this plan to get the guy with the ball across this many squares in this many turns, and it's a challenge because they're so slow. And so they can't just play adaptive. They have to play adaptive in addition to executing a bigger strategy. Keep their eye on their original plan at the same time they're trying to react to things going on. So in some ways it's more difficult. You have to track a lot more. Whereas elves is just like, what do I want to do this turn? I can do anything because I can go anywhere and be anything. And I'm a unique snowflake. And I just have to hope I have enough people at the end to do it, and I probably do because I only really need 4 to be able to do everything. The ball! It's loose! I can't see where he's going. I wasn't looking at the screen. Oh! Oh, he's at 5 now. No. Did his ogre just do what I think he did? Ugh. Come on. Ooh, bits! The joy! I always wonder about that phrase. I mean, people just don't use checks anymore. Do people still understand that phrase? Yeah, definitely showing my age, right? Yeah, dwarves just punish you constantly, right? So, especially if you're elves, right? It's just like there's this steady stream of punish just for being there. Just for being alive.
Come on, guys. Together.
It's getting kind of crazy now. Oh, I can't get in there because of this jerk. So when you base a big guy, I like to base them right next to each other because otherwise he can just blitz and move, right? But if you base him, then either one he hits, he can't. He has to chain push his guy out in order to run out of time. Yeah, human teams. And they just won season 16. Wait, no, season 15. And the World Cup. You'd think everyone would be like, oh my gosh, human teams are overpowered. Season 16 was won by Nurgles. Just recently, just last week. So I guess that's it. They had their day. But now it's back to your regularly scheduled bash teams. Oh, I was sad to see Cyber Knight lose with his Bretonnians. He had a good Bretonnian team. He got completely diced too. Just ridiculously destroyed. That was a tough beatdown. Uh-oh.
I think he's moving. No.
Yeah, and humans seem like are also like a standard new person team, right? Like,
Sometimes.
well, they probably seem straightforward and they're probably evenly balanced, you know, that kind of thing. Oh, nice, stolen XP. Yeah, he's a tough opponent. He is a tough opponent. I had a pretty good record going this season with Underworld. I was at the top for a while, and no! The regen's really saving my bacon here. And then he just kind of casually comes along with this Underworld team and completely destroys my record. And destroys most people's records at that, so yeah, he's a real tough player. Oh, these ogres are starting to dish out some damage. Alright. How do I... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I get a POW here... I got a POW. Right when I needed to. But now I gotta make a GFI. Yeah, I wish I could say they were good at everything. I consider them to be very... Oh, you, wait. Oh, it's this guy. Okay, I just got it. I consider him to be okay at everything. I guess it depends on where you come down on the 1 and 9. Is the 1 and 9. Why did I... Oh, doesn't matter. Still have assist. But there goes my assist for the or the reroll for the GFI. So, yeah. Woohoo, bits! It's been a good old earning game. If the 1 and 9 you consider to be very high risk, then humans are not very good. If you consider 1 and 9 to be acceptable risk, then they are not bad.
That's the way. Deliver.
No! I was going for the Ornan. Scatter there. Didn't work. Yeah, that's a great experience, stolen XP. And that is the one of the reasons Blood Bowl is such a great long-term game, because you know, 9 times out of 10 Cyber Knight's gonna beat me, right? But every dog has his day. And I won't even say 9 times, it's probably only 7 out of 10. Assuming he's a much better coach than I am. Because every dog has his day in Blood Bowl, and the variance is high enough that I get some wins, and they sustain me over the next X number of losses that I'm going to suffer at the hands of better coaches. So, in games that don't have that variance, you just lose every time you meet a better coach. It's hard to keep your interest up. He's really holding on to that last reroll. Good discipline. They are goodish at bashing. They're just not better at it than bash teams. And so, yeah, that is their thing. They can destroy elf teams or Skaven teams and that kind of thing. But in this in Champs Ladder, they're a tough team to play because it's so heavy bash. And they do better in, you know, other formats, like starting, you know, tournaments where you're only going to play 6 games, and the World Cup is an example. It's a bad example just because it gave them extra skills because they're considered tier 2. But they do pretty well, reasonably well in short formats because they have good starting point. And they can really pound on elf teams. And they're mobile enough to sort of stick with the elves that are trying to move around from side to side and that kind of thing. But how do I get this? Yeah, there's just so much bash in the champs ladder.
What was your favorite moment that bowl played on?
Oh, well, it has to be scoring my first touchdown, Chip. You see, I just ripped the head off this kid, giving me some lip changing rooms before the game.
But I've said it a few times before, I still love humans. I have a real soft spot for them. I'm a pretty big fan of their blitzers. I think their blitzers are one of the best in the game, if not the best. I prefer strength access to agility access. I think it's stronger on blitzers. I prefer movement to armor, so I think that they're better than orc blitzers because of that. That's basically the trade-off. And you get 4 of them. Really like that. And I like underdog teams, and I consider them to be sort of underdog-ish in the champs ladder. Like, I can't play Chaos Dwarves or Wood Elves. I consider those teams to be too good, too high on the tier list. I need a little bit of underdog. Yeah, I mean, Beastman is like the opposite end of that spectrum of like starting well versus developing well. Like Beastman, Beastman versus Longbeard is probably the the ultimate 2 sides of that scale, right? It's like out of the box, Longbeards are just disgustingly good for what they're supposed to do, and Beastmen can develop in so many different ways to be different things, and they're the best killers out there. They can turn into pretty good ball handlers, even with just normal access all the way because of mutations. And then if they get any attributes, they really shine. But yeah, starting out, they're I mean, they're not, I shouldn't say they're because horns makes such a massive difference to me. Having horns on every guy just makes it so nice. You just never need an assist. It's a huge advantage. But them being unskilled, it slows them down quite a bit. And they're just a little bit slower, which again, I think... So they're just a little bit worse than Orc Blitzers in terms of raw attributes, and a little bit worse than humans. Look at all of that. Is he on the ground? He is. Okay. So, I could block this thing off. Time for the pass play? And that's the difference between a human team and a Beastman team in general, or a Chaos team in general. Oh, I like it. Humans are way better out of the box. They develop. Ooh, the bits. Yeah. They get worse as they level up in TV because the 5th, 6th, 7th choices on a lot of their positionals are very diminished value, diminished returns. Whereas whereas the Beastmen start with nothing and develop masterfully. Same with Chaos Warriors. Their attribute lines are so good. No! That all they have to do is get to the higher TVs and then they're just godly. Because they end up taking all the same skills, right? Block, mighty blow, tackle, guard, you know, like... It's just one gets them later, but they have way better attributes. So once they all have the same skills, it's just the attribute line that's paying out. Because the humans aren't getting the same value out of Dauntless and Pro and, you know, all those late picks that the Chaos team doesn't. It's like, well, would you rather have +1 strength or Dauntless or Pro? You know, it's like, so obviously Chaos just develop into monsters and the humans sort of taper off. They're really good at the start, but after about 400, 500 TV, they start their decline, right as Chaos are just starting to hit their stride. Well, I saw a big pass play there, and I didn't even get to try it. So sad. Yeah, they get that early guard simp, bam, his dwarfs. Which is really nice. Like, yeah, guard is so strong. So, the first couple hundred TV on human teams is really important, really valuable. And the second 200 is also pretty valuable. But after that, it starts to really diminish. Yeah, while all the other heavier bash teams are trying to figure out how to get block and all the basics. And that's the sweet spot for elves too, because elves are so in that environment where they're playing either humans or bash, other bash teams, it's like you don't want to play against humans because humans have a bunch of the mighty blow and block and guard and tackle in that first 400, 500 TV, and a lot of the bash teams are still getting block and guard and mighty blow, and they don't have very much tackle. So, you know, when you're, and they don't care how much, the elves doesn't care as much about how much strength you have. It's like, who cares? You still gotta find my guys, track them down, and just to be able to hit them. And then when you do, I have block and dodge, and you don't. Oh no. I'm down a dude. Is he down a dude? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's an interesting formation. So, yeah, I guess that's how they became the elf killers, because in low TVs, because eventually Chaos get all the tackle and tentacles and all that stuff, and it's just like they're killing elves just as well. But until that point, until that very high TV point. not?
Those players are running each other. Were you much of a problem?
Absolutely not. I stood on the line of scrimmage and my victim. I mean, players.
Oh, lizards. It's so funny how many teams just consider lizards just a bad matchup, you know, like humans do, orcs do, just so many teams, just like, but I was saying before, like they're sort of flimsy, you know, like lose a couple of Saurus and that team really struggles. And lose too many skinks, and it's like, oh, just hope I scored all the touchdowns I want to score, because I'm done. I'm done ever picking up the ball. Ooh, that block is so nice. See, I don't have block there. It's not as nice. It's not as nice. Yeah. They are very just min-maxy, right? There's a few teams that are... Yeah, like, it's like the design team. They played a bunch, and they're like, yeah, I like that team, but, you know, what I really want is a team that does this, right? And they ended up with lizards, you know? It's just like, I really just want a bunch of really strong guys, and then a bunch of little guys that do all the ball work. Or... yeah, what I really want is guys who are team with really high armor dudes with all the skills that I want to start, and then also have claw, you know, like, and they ended up with Chaos Dwarves. And so, or with Wood Elves, it's like, yeah, I really want a couple of super strong guys, like the strongest in the game, and then I want some guys that are really super fast. Like the fastest in the game. This is before they fixed catchers. And then I want some guys that are like, a couple of guys that are like, have all the skills and they're just amazing out of the box, you know? And it's just like, what? And so they got away with a few of that. You know, 3 teams or so that got away with that when they were in development. And it's like, well, no other team gets the best of all the worlds. Like, why do these 3 teams, like, I don't know. It was that week of get in your super overpowered min-max suggestions. We're making new teams. It'll be fun. And I don't know the history of like which teams were made first and how much of these teams were like adjusted over the years, and like, yeah, Wood Elves they're good, but what they really need is somebody that can be really strong. So let's give them a tree. It's like, okay. Like, were they performing so much worse than the other elf teams that the tree was like the right call? And see, I don't know the history. I don't know all the little details of the histories of the development, but in general, design and development the design is really good. The teams are very creative. There's lots of interesting ideas being thrown around, you know. It's the development that really suffers. And so design and development are 2 different aspects of game design that are really important for competitive games like this. And design is in charge of like creative ideas and fun things and making sure it's fun and interesting and checks all these different boxes for different play styles and player behaviors and player psychology, and then Development is more like the balancing side of like, and play pattern. Does this make for a good experience for both people? You know, that kind of thing. But more into like the balancing of stuff. Takes those creative ideas because they use totally different parts of the brain, and very few people are good at both because they use such different parts of the brain. And so, a lot of games, when you judge them in both of these categories, one of the categories is usually lacking because a lot of people don't understand that in order to holistically design a game, you have to have high marks in both. They just think, well, we need a game designer. Okay, let's get one. And you get one or the other. And it's like a guy with his ideas aren't real creative, but the game is very balanced and it plays really well. All the little ideas are really tight. Or you get a game that has tons of really cool ideas and it's just balanced horribly. And the play pattern is really bad in a lot of places where it's just like, oh, this is really unfun for the opponent. One guy's having a great time and the other guy's just having a horrible time. That's sort of the development side. And so Blood Bowl I put in the category of like great design and pretty bad development. And yeah, it's a shame, right? Like, because it, you know, and to be perfectly honest, design, the creative side, is more important, right? Like, if a game doesn't have fun and interesting ideas, but it's perfectly balanced, you know, like, hey, look at tic-tac-toe, you know, it's like perfectly balanced, it's a draw every time. It's just boring, super boring, and nobody ever plays it, right? But if it's super exciting and fun, even though it's got its imbalances, people will play it. They're more successful games. Right, so yeah, Too Tall Brown, exactly right. Like the play pattern there. Let's analyze the play pattern of a dwarf on dwarf game at mid TV. It's like they all have guard, block, tackle, stand firm. It's just like line up, boys, and thump each other for 16 turns. 0 progress is made, and yeah, the game ends. I want to hit this guy. Yeah, that's an example of play pattern that a developer would catch and say, hey, this isn't real fun, you know, like, what can we do to mix this up? What can we do to make this more interesting, more compelling? Oh, look at that. A large thud. Getting his XP on. Of course, now I get a 2 die on that guy, which is a shame. Woo, bits! Yeah, I guess the solution there is if 2 dwarves play each other, give them the handshake option. They just sort of say, all right, let's skip the next 90 minutes of nothing. Let's accept the 0-0 and just move on to the next game. They just shake hands and get on with their lives. Yeah, stolen XP. You know, and that's where it starts. And you know, about your thematic for the Wood Elf team, it's perfect, right? Like, the tree makes a ton of sense. But yeah, and this is where a developer would step in and say, totally thematic, perfect, but how can we balance it such that it, you know, it ticks that box? Why do they also have the fastest catchers in the game, right? Why are all the other catchers slower and have higher or lower strength or higher strength? You know, should one team stress the speed and the other one stress, like, well, they've got this big guy, you know, so they're the stronger team. Should one stress armor? Should one stress running versus passing? You know, like those are all those things you sort of work out on a board and say, okay, well, this is what this team is going to stress. And they did that to some extent, right? Like high elves were supposed to be the passing specialists, with Elven Union being second, and the game failed them because the passing game turned out not to be worth doing. But yeah, again, the two sides of it that when work together, when they combine those elements, that's when you have a truly great, a truly well-designed game. Thematics, creativity, balance, you know, all these things working together, play patterns. My regen has just been amazing, working overtime. Well then. Oh, that's a good point too, Stolen XP, about the OP. Yeah, another marketing decision. It's like, and that's one of those like ongoing issues. Like when League of Legends puts out a new champion, right? They have to consider where would they rather err, right? If they're going to err on one side or the other, it's better to err on the side of overpowered to get everyone playing it than it is, and buying skins for it, right? Than it is to just make it super underpowered. No one plays it, right? And so that does enter into the thinking, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, on how to best reveal or present this new thing to the world. So that's not just, you know, a tabletop. That's you know, industry wide, right? Ooh, good camera work there. But yeah, those decisions are pretty short-sighted, right? Because the guy's only out. The guy's only new for a month, you know. Whatever it is you're putting out is only going to be new for a very short time. And if you're alienating everyone else who isn't playing the new hotness, then you're failing, you know, a much larger portion of the community. I guess I just want to dodge it over here. Unfortunately, the way business works, it's always about the next quarter. It's always about the next, whatever the fiscal period is. So almost all of business is about that short-sighted decision making. Woo! Gotta love dodge. Who doesn't love dodge? No friend of mine. Had to cover for this bad fail now. My cage is way out of position. You can pretty easily get a 2-diamond here. Probably shouldn't have moved so aggressively. But I feel like I'm so I'm under such pressure to get the ball down the field with Khemri. Yeah, and the answer is typically just try to do it right. Like a lot of things, like, you know, it's funny because having worked at Blizzard for so long, I didn't even hear and understand the difference between a game designer and a game developer until I worked on Hex, Shards of Fate at Cryptozoic many years later. We were all just game designers at Blizzard, and obviously we had different roles, but a lot of us were expected to be able to do kind of both sides. And because Blizzard was how it was, and it was attracting, you know, very high levels of talent, you know, we had the ability to interview and get some people that were very good at both, even though it's very rare. And so, you know, the designers did a decent job in both. They had high marks in both game design and development. And it wasn't until I got to Cryptozoic and Hex Entertainment where we worked on the card game, the TCG, because the TCGs companies, Magic and everyone else, understand, or not all of them, but many of them understand the difference between those two things. They're very important in making TCGs. And I didn't understand those specific clarifications until I got there, and it sort of was explained to me. It was funny because I came in after working on WoW for 10 years and like sitting in these discussions, and it's like, well, I'll be able to hold my own, you know. And I realized in 5 minutes I had no idea what I was doing when it came to like TCG design, and certainly not development. And I had played a lot of Magic and a lot of WoW TCG and a lot of other things. I'd played a lot of card games over the years, but man, it is a very specific skill. So a lot of people don't even know that a lot of game companies don't even know that there's a difference there. You know, like they just think, yeah, we'll just get some good game designers and call it a day, and it'll be great. And they don't realize, well, we actually need good game designers and good game developers. You know, like they don't even know that's a thing. So they don't even know that that's the question they have to ask in order to do well. And so, guess what? They're not going to do well at those things. And so, and ultimately, you know, these kind of Games Workshop, it's not like they're like a Blizzard or an Activision or a EA or a Riot that just has massive teams dedicated to these products, right? It's still a very small sort of enterprise. And they have to make do with the resources they have, the small teams. They may only get one game designer, and that's it. And that's all they can really do. I mean, theoretically, they make money to justify having more qualified people, but it still seems like a small, sort of smallish operation. I'm just clicking places now. I don't know that I'm really thinking. So yeah, it's a tough thing to know you have to do, and then find the right people in order to do this. And so a lot of companies don't pull it off. And the smaller the company or the smaller the project is, more likely that's true.
They're gathering around that old plate, like halflings round a sandwich. That's it. Where's the back and the
Where's the ball going? Who's got a 6 in him? Nobody? Space on XP, thank you so much for the bits. My pleasure. Love a good chat about game design. Sleep well. See you later. Yeah, Blizzard we used to call the game developer was a different role. We called a technical designer, and a technical designer was they were used as both balancers, like have massive spreadsheets of Excel, you know, defining damage and all that stuff, like to a T, just every aspect of the game, how it rated against everything else. But also they were really technical in terms of programming, so they could write a lot of scripts. They could design and code utilities or tools to or utilities to help us test things, help us track data, you know, things like that. And so it was a bit more than just game balance. But yeah, super important, and we had some of the best at Blizzard. Some of the best designers I've ever worked with. I consider to be amongst the technical design. It's also just a super rare thing because, again, the sides of the brain that they use are opposite. And so to have both abilities in the same person is really rare. Because they also had to have decent design sensibilities, right? They had to be somewhat creative and understand the impact of things, and because like the stereotypical programmer will tell you this is correct because it works, right? If it's bug free, then it's working as it's supposed to be, therefore it should not be fixed, it should not be changed, right? That's stereotypical, obviously. Most programmers are smarter than that. And the stereotypical game designer always goes to a programmer and says, hey, we want to try this thing. It's this thing we created and we really like how it sounds, but we want you to code it up. And then a week later, the programmer comes back and says, okay, I coded this thing up and it's working perfectly. And the designer's like, yeah, but it's not really doing the thing we want it to do, so we want to change it. We've got this whole other idea. And the programmer's like, again, stereotypical programmer's like, no, don't change it. It works. I mean, it's bug free. It's doing exactly what you wanted. It's, you know, and he can't make that leap to, oh, well, it's not good for the game, right? Like, yeah, we tried it. We didn't like it. And the stereotypical designer is just like, he's just coming up with a million ideas, doesn't understand the cost of programming, you know, like doesn't understand, you know, that, you know, the weights of, you know, all the, trying a million things to get the right thing, just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, right? Like, and so those two don't get along at all, right? Like stereotypical programmer, stereotypical designer don't get along at all because it's a super frustrating experience on both sides. You know, in the real world, obviously they both have skills that allow them to work as a team and, you know, understand the importance of the other's job and whatnot. But finding, you know, people that have both of those skills in the same brain is rare because they use such different sides of the brain. And the same is true for, in a lot of ways, the developer and the game designer. But we had some technical designers that were also who were very savvy when it came to, you know, some creative ideas and, you know, impact on gameplay and fun and, you know, that kind of thing. What's it gonna take? If I can get a POW here. Oh, how does he get through? Oh, there's this guy's. Okay. So it's possible I can get this. I don't really want him scoring. But I gotta win the game, right? Alright, so I gotta POW him down. Nope. I can still do it, but then I can't POW him, not without moving him. I got some time here, I guess. What side do I want him on? I kind of want him on this side. Sort of babbling there about game development. But yeah, suffice to say it's tough to pull off you know, high marks in both creativity and balance, getting everything working. All in the same package in a small team. It's a lot of different skill sets. And people that form companies, like most companies are formed by and run by businessmen. And the ones that are successful, even more so, because you have to be successful in that first. So very few game companies are run by game designers, and so understand what's required to make a good game. One of the founders of Blizzard is a brilliant businessman and is also one of the best game designers in the world, in my opinion. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of Blizzard games... Jeez, 2 dead. See what I mean about the flimsy? Like, obviously that's Smarty Blow, but yeah, I just feel like my Tomb Guardians regen, man, this whole game has been nuts. Yeah, which is a super rare combination, again, in the same person. But it's one of the reasons it's so successful. And I think one of the reasons why, because he stepped away for many years from the company. And one of the reasons some of the stuff there, I think, is stagnated in a way. I mean, they just had a different focus, you know, like they started making money. Making games that were more casual friendly and less hardcore, whereas before the idea was always serve the hardcore and appeal to the mass, both in the same game, and sort of shifted towards appeal to the mass more because that's where the money's at. And obviously that statement is more or less true depending on what game you're talking about. I think Overwatch does a great job of both. I think Hearthstone does more of what I'm talking about. Like, if you ask hardcore card game players, many of them like Hearthstone but don't love it. Games that they love are have a little more going on in them. But both games are wildly successful, right? I threw a lot of blocks, but I don't know. Get that ball. I'll free him up. Get myself a kill while I'm at it. Yeah, like I agree, Hervyuk. The on this scale, right? Like Dota 2, Han, Heroes of New Earth. You know, is sort of on one side. Heroes of the Storm is on the other side, and League of Legends is somewhere in between. And you know, that game, it's hard to determine that game's success based on that axis because it was out late, right? It was out later than League of Legends, which had already scooped up most of the community. And so it's tough to say if it had just been out earlier, if it hadn't been the way more popular choice for most people. Yes, I'm on it. They're definitely a special like genre, and even within the different types, like the experience can be very, very different. But I preferred MOBAs to RTSs in general. Like what I always wanted from an RTS was to focus on a very small number of units. I did not enjoy the multitasking of working on my base as well as micromanaging my battles. I wanted to micromanage my battles. And that's why I was a terrible StarCraft player. Because I'd build my first army, I'd run them out, and then I would micro them, and I would win. And then immediately after I would lose, because while I was winning that battle, I had left my base to not do anything, and the other guy had played suboptimally, lost the battle marginally, and had a whole second army ready to go to kill my army that had just barely won the first battle. Because I was microing it better. So I never... And that's because that's what I wanted to do. So it's not that I didn't figure out what I was supposed to be doing in order to win. It's just that I didn't want to do that. And so when Warcraft 3 came out, I was like, oh, sweet. It's going to have heroes, which... You know, I'm going to be able to micro more, and... Oh man, I just let the timer run out again. I'm going to be able to micro the guys I care about a lot more, but it was still too heavy in the RTS. You still had to manage your base and all that. And then the Warcraft 3 mod, Defense of the Ancients, came out in Dota, which was the first MOBA. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't have to worry about the base at all. I only have one unit I have to micro. But every step matters, so the micro was the ultimate importance. I just fell in love. I was like, yep, this is what I wanted RTSs to be. And so I fell in love and started playing those religiously and had for 20 years. I haven't played in a couple of years, any of them, but I played them religiously for 20 years. Super fun. And that's what I wanted RTSs to be. No. Eugene's games, War Game and Steel Division. Yeah, I don't know those too well. Are they like board game-ish, or are they third person or first person? Isometric? Are they turn-based? I don't know much about them at all. I've heard of Steel Division. scoring. Guess I just threw blocks when I should have been concentrating. Stopped concentrating in this game, to be honest. Whoops. Sorry about that.
It reminds me of the film Storm, Nurgling and the Great Uncloak. But this time, no very
Here's what we got though. Big pass play coming up.
Safety in numbers.
The more casual League of Legends, yeah.
turn on the border of the pitch.
It is more casual
Pushed him to the crowd.
than Dota,
And that happened. It took
but still far more intense than Heroes of the Storm. But yeah, it's funny. And I remember talking to people, you know, like they made the switch from League to Dota 2. And I would always ask them, so what is it that it offers that, you know, League doesn't? And what they were looking for, almost always, was your mistakes are punished way more in Dota 2. Like they wanted... An important thing for competitive gamers that I've learned over the years is not only do they want the skill cap to be high, but they want to be able to leverage their knowledge of the higher end skills in such a way that it identifies them as a more skilled player to everyone who's slightly less skilled than them, right? So, and the best way to do that is to punish mistakes, right? Like, if I'm only slightly better than you at a game and you make that one mistake because of it, and it's massively punished,
not what you'd expect.
then that's actually a really bad spot. Then I can identify myself as a way better player than you, even though I'm only slightly better than you. So most gamers are looking for that competitiveness, that not the competitiveness, but the edge in demonstrating how they're better. And so that's what some of those games give you. So it's not enough necessarily to win. It's to win by a margin that's recognizable as, or a recognizable amount. And something that can be looked back on as a skill difference. This guy made one mistake, therefore he lost. Therefore he's bad and the other player's good. You know, like, the margins can be pointed to and say, oh, look how much better that guy is. He didn't make that mistake, this guy did. And so when you're designing a game, it can be very important to design in some of those elements. And that's what the Blizzard means by easy to learn, hard to master. Designing in those elements intentionally such that competitive or high-end gamers can point to these things. And competitive gamers hate, you know, conversely, they hate, you know, games that are just a bunch of coin flips and any guy can win. And so the more of that is in a game, the less they like it. It's the same reason they want less variance in the game. They want the outcome to always be determined by the difference in skill level, which is terrible for the game itself because, again, you have... Are you ready for this? Whew, no reroll, 5 plus 4 plus? Woo. That is how you do it, apparently. That's how... Captain Marvelous? We gotta get you to be a catcher, not a thrower. I'm the worst thrower I've ever seen, but holy cow. Yeah, see, if my opponent, Mongoose is Loose, was a way better player than me right now, he would be completely tilted. Because there's no way that should have worked. And he should have won. Well, that was you too. You threw it, and you got that. Casualty earlier too. Excellent. Should I put you on the line now? Just see if you deserve to keep that level up. Oof, that was a beating. I didn't even notice. Wow. And this is how you want to feel as Khemri, right? Like, maybe not against ogres. I guess against ogres. A lot of that is nobblers, but that's how you kind of want to feel, right? Like, you're the bashiest guy around. But you're just not. It just so rarely feels like, because your skeletons are only V7 and... Oh, another Tomb Guardian.
If I had a golden crown I've seen lying on the field during my career, well, I could start my own team. You only need 1 million.
Yeah, so a lot of their units end up, or a lot of their guys end up being stunned or worse, removed. And they got these guys, but they're prone to failed blocks. I feel bad for Mongoose. Like, he's gonna watch this. Sorry, Mongoose, if you watch it. I just rambled on and on about non-Blood Bowl things instead of giving commentary on the game itself. Hey, look at all that cash. Some good armor breaks. A lot of blocks. Look at all them XPs. Boneheads. That was pretty bad. Armor real bad. Oof, that's pretty weighted. Oh, nice. Thank you, Herbiak. Appreciate it. We did some damage. Oh, armor breaks. I love it. I don't see Noblars anymore, man. I just see dollar signs. Well, cent signs anyway. Oh, that's some good pals. That's some very good. Pretty good. 47. A little higher. Safe dice. You want good dice or safe dice? What's better?
What past don't X3 sponsoring the sport when you were playing ball?
Well, polishing cream manufacturer? No. I have no idea.
Too tall Brown. Look at you. Is this going to be Mighty Blow on the team? Mighty Blow. Wow. I have Mighty Blow. Oh, I can afford another skeleton. I've got a bench. What do we got in here? Bio Arthas. Our latest skeleton. Alright, that was game 12 versus Ogre. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Come follow me on Twitch. And I'll see you again soon for another game.